Hello and welcome to All My Art and Soul. I'm Michelle Holden, the artist behind the channel, and I am continuing with part 2, a journey of 3 paintings. And what I'm showing here is where I left off with each one last week. And I think I called it, this was just building your first layers of marks. Some paint, very translucent. We started with texture and gesso, and then skimmed across with nickel azo gold, and then kept the yellows. But now, as you can see, it is going to change. My intention is, for this work, to build up a lot of bright colors with collage, paint, marks. And I thought, well, I don't want to just keep it yellow. I guess drawing the red marks with the Posca marker here really inspired more red, and I think the primary colors. I think I'm going with red, yellow, some blue and green and orange, and of course black and white, both in paint and collage, but not with paint yet. As you can see with this one, so now I deal with one at a time, but I treat each 12 by 12 inch wood panel, and I love the hard surface. I go as far as I intend to go on each one, so I'm balancing. I'm not going farther with one and not the other two. So I'm trying to keep that those layers and those things consistent. So I chose a whole bunch of collage papers using, these are all my scraps, and I also found some fabric samples of, I believe, which are really nice cotton. That's the striped ones in the lower right-hand corner. I thought, wow, I was just digging through all my stuff, all my fodder, and I came across this beautiful red and black and gray stripes, and I thought, oh, and then I found a family of colors because that's how fabric swatches are set up. And so I'm using fabric on each one, but a different, similar colors, but different pattern. So I love pattern. So as you can see, I'm just responding and I think I usually think in threes or so, putting reds near reds, and maybe even doing some complementary blue, orange, but making sure there's a little, there's enough bright color in each quadrant, because after this, in part 3, this is going to be called the letting go stage, which is, I think that's what I'm going to call it. And this takes time, but when you know, and you've practiced and explored enough to see what happens when you do these things, and that's what abstract art journaling in a safe environment, practicing, and sometimes not with an intention at all. You just want to fool around and let loose, and almost in a meditative state. And that's what I do a lot. But lately I thought, well, why don't I want to see what happens if I do this, or if I start with a bunch of colors in collage, and as my no, it wasn't my first, was it? It was my third layer. The first layer was gesso, with scouring through it and mark making, getting a texture. The second layer was a thin layer of, or thinnish layer of transparent paint, nickel azo gold with a little orange. And I will leave the card, and it'll show up in the upper right-hand corner of this video. If you missed part 1, check it out, and then come on back to this video. So I wish I could find this gorgeous red. It is a warm red. It's not too like alizarin crimson compared to the fabric down below, which is almost like a, it's not exactly cherry red, but it's definitely cooler. This is warmer. And the textured red on the right-hand side is made with my catalyst wedge, the toothed wedge, with my jelly plate printer. And I do those marks. I seem to really love them, so I'm going to do more in many different colors. I need more in black and white, of course. And then, yes, after I gessoed, then I did the nickel azo, then I put on the very, very transparent deli wrap paper with the black marks on it, and it looks like I just made them. And then of course using pencil, and then well, you just need to check out the previous video in part 1, because now I'm thinking of shape and color, because I'm going to be veiling, covering almost all of it or a lot of it. But I'm thinking transparent and opaque. So a lot of this stuff will be pushed back and sort of clouded out. You'll still be able to see it. And then other areas that I really love will remain very as they are now. And then after that, we'll think of the darks, the blacks. But for now, let's just enjoy what I'm doing. So I'm just loving, and this is the play stage. Your first layers of collage. The only thing I'm doing is, okay, what colors look great beside what? Make sure I'm putting them around, and also my favorite black and white. So you can see here there's black on text, on pages, there's white on black, and this really lovely, all of this handcrafted paper, and it's thick. It's thicker than the other collages on there, so now we'll get an actual physical texture on this piece. I love the warmness and the old paper right underneath where I'm working now. Different books age different tones. That's more like a deep coffee tone. I love that. And of course the text, the ledger kind of marks on those pages, and just trying to think of the things and the shapes that resonate with me. And then of course this shiny pink, same kind of craft paper. I got it in Curry's art store. I'm in Ontario, Canada, and and I forget which time of year, but it's in the paper section, and it comes in these packs of, I believe they're just leftovers, and they're all color coordinated. I do believe in warm, yellows, blues. It's just, oh, they're wonderful. And they weren't that expensive at the time. I don't know. I haven't been to that art store in a while. I've just been using my local Michael's for my needs, and of course, ordering online. So in Canada, I was viewing some discussions of the cost of art materials. It's crazy. It really is. And that's probably why I've just been, taking it easy with just redoing, painting over old canvases, using the 12 by 12 packages of the panels here. This is where collage is probably really beneficial, because, you can use anything. It's actually great recycling. I'm starting now to realize the benefits of small boxes and unraveling them and using the shapes, and there's so much around. And when you start seeing, and this is the kind of thing I love to learn from other artists, it's like, oh, what are they using? Okay, what could, and it just opens up expands your horizons, and it's great. So this paper here is, what is it? Anyway, it's a Japanese folding paper, and it comes in so many colors and patterns. It's amazing. So buying that more inexpensive stuff. I think it was about $6, and it's just amazing. That was Amazon. Okay, so you just know when, okay, I've got enough. Lower left, no, I don't. I'll come back to it. Okay, so look at the difference. So this was the first one. And of course, I love working with squares because you can just rotate them around and then all of a sudden you see something in a different way. Down there with that bird, that's an old encyclopedia. Oh yeah, I forgot about this part. So that is a matte medium, and it's pretty good. So I didn't want that too large to cover up all those marks. So I may have poured, actually I didn't end up pouring too much on there. It just secures the paper so it's not so absorbent if I'm going to use stain or anything like that. Yeah, there we go. And the more fluid matte medium with fabric, like thin cotton fabric, like the one that I just put on, is great because it soaks right through it versus the heavy gel gloss that I usually use for sticking down. And the gloss medium does bring out the hues of paper and paint and everything, but right now I'm not really worried about that because I know this is just the beginning layers. And I think using the matte medium it might be a little better. I'm putting a really good coat on it because after I do put a layer of paint, thinking of shapes, etc., I'm going to experiment with rubbing back or sanding back just to get that aged look in different areas, not the whole thing. So here's the next one. And I probably added a little more there. Oh, I see. Good. I'm glad I didn't do this. I just was, while that was drying, I just placed my next pieces on top. And it's really fun because you can go, oh, that'll look great there. And then you might change your mind. That is a playing card. The patterns on the backs of playing cards and playing cards themselves. Darn, I should have thought of that. I have to get some at the dollar store. And that's from, that thing there is from different science-y old magazines. I love the text, the line, and I can't seem to find, and I know I probably mentioned this before, the bookstore doesn't accept old magazines and that kind of thing from people because it's usually from smoking households and all of that, and I guess there's a thing where they can't get those, but I would love to get my hands on some beautiful magazines with some large black text like that. And we'll just keep looking around. Origami paper, that's what that is. And I just love the orange, and I love orange, yellow, and pink. Now, it's not really near any pink right now, but I'm going to put some more lines on it, add some more marks because they contrast so well with shapes. And that was a thicker piece of collage paper down there that I used for a page. Didn't like it, or who knows what happened, but what a great piece of collage that makes. Leftover experiments keep as collage. Don't be afraid to cut them up. And I think my next thing is, and I started there with that oval shape. I'm going to try to move away just from rectangles and squares. Now I'm going to use the paper and the collage and add pieces to it to create some more interesting shapes, but shapes that resonate with me. And that's quite the thing to think about. I love the mark lines of waves from nature. I like some geometric shapes. I love the circle, but I like organic stone shapes, anything earth, sky, related. But I really haven't discovered my shapes that go with this effect that I've been looking for, which is almost very, and I know with this collage you think, well, what is she talking about? Like, if you want a really atmospheric kind of effect, why am I starting with all this collage? Well, this set of 3 paintings isn't really that kind of thing that I'm trying to go for. I'm just experimenting now in different ways to begin your abstract paintings, starting layers at different starts. So this one was texture, gesso with collage, and my other ones were paint first with the brayer and then collage. So just, doing that, sort of just interchanging the layering sequence and to see what happens. Also value. So what would be the paint that I would put on it? Would it be black now? I would hate to put black on it, but black in sections after I've used a veil of, I think an off-white is what I'm going to go for. All right. Wait! So here it is. I decided after letting them sit for a day or two, because I did this a few days ago, that they just didn't quite have enough bright colors. And you can see my bright colored tape there on the upper left-hand corner. And you can see it's like, woo, it's really looking good. And I love just that little piece of polka dot was sitting on the table as a scrap. And now I'm being more thoughtful with my collage pieces and cutting out these shapes that resonate with me. And I love the use of certain symbolism. One of my symbols, of course, is water, trees, lighthouses, bridges, the cosmos, of course, old text, just anything that looks really ancient. The house, the pentagon shape, the house shapes, maps, different flowers, and just very simple. Moon phases, all of those kinds of things I really, really love. And of course, words, letters, and numbers. So I think that's good. So I'm going to keep that in mind. And I'm even going to write these things down, because when you're, exploring so many things, I would really like my work to start settling down into a cohesive voice or style. And I know my abstract art journaling has, and I love that. And whenever I get a little lost in all of this experimenting, that's when I love to go and return. And it gets me back on track. So, in the comments, what gets you back on track when you venture too far away from home in your art journeys? Leave a comment. That's always interesting. So I hope you're enjoying the journey of 3 paintings, because who knows where this is going to go next. I'm trying not to think about it too much, because especially when I love what's going on, but I must be honest with myself. I'm not attached to any individual thing, which I like. And I know there's that pink. It needed more pink, just marks. And I love that I did that. Bringing up some yellow. And then, of course, I'm going to cover the marker so it doesn't blur on my next layer. And, So I'm loving the 6 circles on each one. So they'll get treated in different ways, but still they might remain, I hope they will, in some form. Maybe not all. And I love the pencil marks going over top. And it doesn't look like much, but it does push those layers back. Okay, so this is awesome. All right, so I've gone to get, oh, the other one's right beside me. Yes, you see? And there's that piece of fabric, which I left really low. I think I just trimmed a little bit off the edge. And I love it because of its texture. And of course, this paper here, it's almost like a cardstock, rather thicker than a cardstock, and it has a texture. So if I do cover that up, the texture will remain. And I like how I left a little opening between the two. And I know this orange has to go somewhere, and I'm glad I'm cutting it into a specific shape, even though it might be very primitive. And I believe since I have orange on the top, this is going to go great in the bottom right-hand corner somewhere. And since there's black down there, I think some, yeah, just a little narrower, some nice, nope, 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 yep, there it is. That's where it needs to go. So, having some contrast down there. And I like the circle in the top right, where all those pieces are showing through. So I'm really keeping that in mind. This has been so much fun, this stage. So, and we're not worried about, so we're thinking primary colors. I'm going to be covering them up, and I don't like how the pastel goes on these. I don't know why. I guess it's too textury. I want some definite line. So I'm grabbing the pink Posca marker, and way better. And love the diagonal, which contrasts, which is a difference with the vertical and horizontal shapes. And a little bit more in there. Just adding enough. Perfect. And that paper in the lower right-hand corner is gold, has gold on it. Those patterns, just bringing out some pink. I love my fish. Who knows if it'll still be there. But it's cool. It's there now, and it will add to the piece, even though it may get covered up. So, because, you know, we know it's there, or I know it's there. So, yep, that one's ready. See how I'm just going through with some other colors? Just, yes, needed a little green. Where do I end up putting that? Whoa, that's super bright. But when you put a layer of paint over it, it really tones it down. Oh yeah, okay. So the yellow background, I wanted to keep it yellow, the yellow family. And then, yes, that little piece of scrap looks much better, and it does help the eye. Stop going off and over from left to right. Just enough, maybe not a lot, but it's something. These last minute, yes, very interesting. It just takes away just from that being just a yellow square and adding some shape. So here comes the next one, the last but not the least. Yes. Okay. So this one, I think I wanted a little more blue, yellow, a little more brightness. There is a lot of yellow here, and don't you love I love the background. But I'm being careful to add without covering up too much of those lines, because I just really love them. Oh, I said I didn't love a certain part of these paintings. Ha! I just found out that I do. Well, you know what? Maybe a little part of them will show through or shine through underneath. Because my next layer, I don't want it to be opaque. Some areas might need to be, so we'll find out what happens. So that's next week in part 3. So stay tuned. And you see, I continued those orange lines over that. I like when I do that. That is really cool. Oh yes, And I'm going to add, not black, I think some orange. There it is. And I'm going to cut that, yes, do my little laddery thing that goes up, because I know it's on the other one. And of course, odd numbers. And liking how everything's spread out, but not in, it's not overly thought. We have something different, but there's enough in each. So now this line, this edge of these orange shapes picks up a line, you see, in the quadrant, which is going, yes, I can see that. So that's how I'm going to think about the next layer. I'm going to cover and then accentuate shapes from the pieces of collage that I really like. I know that sounds like a lot, but I'm going to keep it simple. At least try. So here they are, close up. This is still the beginning stage. We're moving towards, now we're going to think about another layer. And I hope you're following along too, using up your scraps on any substrate. This is a great experiment to try out. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you're liking this content. And I will see you in the next video.